Good morning. Happy Friday from the Daily Huddle family. Today is a very unusual day. My name is Tara Heaton, and I am the host for Tuesdays. But today is Friday, where we talk everything leadership. And I finished my workout, got some writing in, got some invoices sent out, and I thought I'm going to pop on to the Daily Huddle. Well, our hosts aren't here. I don't think this has ever happened. So I thought, you know what? Let's proceed and have a great conversation. So here I am showing up in all my workoutedness. But I thought, you know what? Let's roll with this. We're going to save the topic that Dr. Ogando had, and we're going to have our own conversation. And so I got to thinking, what value could we bring today? And I think it is this. We've built a community here. And I have a feeling that everyone else showed up for the same reason that I did. I wanted a shot of energy and connection to kick off my day. Oh my gosh, today is Thursday, Dr. Ogando.
Thursday, yes. Today is Thursday.
Yeah. So, as you can see, I'm frazzled because this is not my show, but I am taking over for Dr. Monikah. I think something must be going on with her. So, today is the spiritual day. And so let's maybe take a moment to get grounded since I'm clearly frazzled. So let's all take a deep breath in and slowly let it out of our mouths from our belly. And let's do that one more time. Take a deep breath in, starting from the belly, coming all the way to the chest, and then letting it back out to get grounded. And be in touch with whatever source means to you. I think maybe there was a reason why I'm here today. I have had an interesting spiritual journey. I used to be very, very much devoted to the Christian faith. And I think today I'm much more devoted to a source of love that is God. And it has brought me here today for some reason. So I would like for y'all to come off of mute or onto the camera. Stan, you're right beside me. So I want to start with you. And I want to ask you this. Okay. Why do you show up for the Daily Huddle? And how is it connected to your spirituality?
Tara, that's a good question. You know, I show up for a couple of reasons, but primarily because I feel the Daily Huddle, it feeds a part of me. You know,
did he freeze y'all?
It feeds a part of me, and as we
I'm gonna go into my house where I have a better connection. But while we're
I'm not coming through well.
You froze. I'm gonna go into my house where I have a better connection, but I'm pretty sure it was you. So if you would, tell me again about why you show up for the Daily Huddle, and how it's connected to your spirituality.
It feeds a part of me. Feeds. And you know, we need a balanced meal. We if you eat just one thing, you're not getting your full nutrition. And the Daily Huddle feeds an intellectual as well as a camaraderie part of me that I like to feed. And the hosts each contributes something different, a different element that are different piece of nutrient they put on the plate. You know, each host does. And that's why I come, you know, and I like being a part of a family like this.
Yeah. I love that. I always love when you show up because I think that each person that shows up to the Daily Huddle brings a different message and a different spirit. And you definitely have a way of grounding me. So I'm especially grateful that you and I ended up here together today.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Tara. I feel the same way about you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Florence has her hand up. So I would love to know, Florence, what brings you to the Daily Huddle and how it's connected to your spirituality.
I do not like to miss the Daily Huddle. I mean, like every morning, and I wake up, I'm like, oh, well, I have a choice to make. And the Daily Huddle is like on that, in that first few things that I will choose because it's always very stimulating. No matter who is on, you can learn something. And I love you because of your candidness. I like you and the discussion you bring with your partner. I forgot her name now.
Catherine.
Yes, I like the discussions you bring because they're very authentic sharing. They're like, they root out inauthenticity. And for me, inauthenticity, like, okay, authenticity is high on my list. I just need Sorrel, everyone, the spirit, the vibration on the huddle is like off the chart. And so I would not miss. I only miss when I can't help it. I only miss when I can't help it. So yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was so genuine. You know what? I love that you said, and I will not soon forget that you said that you believe that I come over as authentic, because I have spent much of my time developing what are my core values, and they change over time a little bit. But the number one core value for me that never changes is sincerity. My mother was the most sincere woman, and I feel like if we bring sincerity, that everything else kind of falls into place. So
I agree.
I'm so grateful that you said that, and we are so grateful that you are such a loyal fan of the Daily Huddle, Florence. Thank you.
You thank Rashida. She made, she made sure I'm here, and sometimes she would call me, "Are you on the huddle?" And I'm like, "Oh, what's going on? What's today? Am I missing something? I got to get there."
Well, I appreciate y'all forgiving me. I don't know why I said it was Friday. But we got grounded, and this is really so much fun. Thank you all so much for contributing. Laura, good morning. Your hand is up. So tell me why you show up for the Daily Huddle and how it connects to your spirituality.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. I show up because the Daily Huddle feeds all aspects of my soul. And like you share your core value of being sincere, one of my core values is integrity. Integrity. And every time I get on, I'm sorry, I'm walking, so it's a lot of noise on the street.
That's okay. I'm just glad you're sharing.
Yes. Every time I get on, some parts of me get new sprouts, new growth. So I just love that you're all feeding my soul and expanding my self-development. With that, I'm complete, and I thank you all.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Laura. I'm going to ask you another quick question, and then look who came.
Look at Doc. Hey,
Doc. Hey, we just got started without you, sister.
We doing some spiritual matters, Doc.
Say again?
Tara got us doing some spiritual matters.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you, Tara, for holding down the fort. Lord have mercy.
Absolutely. You know what we were doing, Dr. Monikah, is we were each sharing why we show up for the Daily Huddle and how it connects to our spirituality.
Oh, fantastic.
So I am going to turn it over to you.
Wait, what was the common thread of the answer?
So, well, we've had some beautiful comments. I don't want to try to paraphrase people's words, but Stan had shared, Florence had shared, and Laura had shared and said that one of her core values is integrity. And I love that.
Here I come out of integrity, showing up late.
Well, every time someone tells me that their value is integrity, I always push back on it, and I'll tell you why. I think integrity is defined by so many character traits. Like, does that mean honesty, sincerity, loyalty? And so I always like to dig deep on the word integrity, but that's where we landed. I think Michelle hopefully was going to share, but you might want to shift us into your topic, or maybe you want to.
Oh, well, we'll go with the energy that wants to be here. So thank you for starting that, and my deepest apologies to everybody for skipping out. I went to sleep really, really late, and I woke up really, really late, evidently. So
I'm so glad to know you're human.
Yes.
It is affirming to me. She is human, y'all.
All right.
Thank you for kicking us off, Tara. Good morning, family. I just want to say thank Thank you for kicking us off, Tara, and nice to see you, Dr.
Thank
Monikah.
you. Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Good morning. Michelle, were you about to say something to the question that Tara posed?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. All right. So you guys know that we are doing a series, the summer series, and we take a particular piece or a theme to talk about how that thing, albeit regular schmegular part of your life, like last time we talked about your body. Today we're talking about food. Food as a gateway to your spiritual maturity. And I don't just mean the food that you take in through your mouth and digest in your stomach. I mean all that you ingest, right? And so we'll get into those nuances as well. But let's start with the most obvious one, which is the food that you ingest through your mouth and digest through your stomach. How many of you have noticed that in most spiritual/religious traditions, there is some part of your day-to-day life embedded into it? So for example, in Judeo-Christian traditions, there's the Last Supper. People eat, people have suppers, right? That there is a celebration of milestones in people's lives, whether it be their birth or their death. There's a way that we process beginnings and endings in religious traditions and so forth. So the reason I bring that up is because we tend to have, particularly in this culture, this kind of like divide between what's secular and what's religious, or what's regular life and what's special and sacred. And in the olden days of human history, we didn't have that separation. Everything was sacred and everything was regular schmegular. So there wasn't this like about sex or about food or about children being born and how bloody and gory sometimes death can be and so forth. And so I want to acknowledge that, because in order for us to have an honest conversation about this, we're going to have to get off of the thing. You know what I mean? So can we just put it away? I know some of you are wearing hats. Pretend you're taking the gasp and righteousness hat off and putting it off somewhere. We can pick it up later. All right. So food. Back when human beings were very, very connected to our planet, we lived with the planet, not just on it, like consumers, but with it, like partners. We would adjust our diet based on what was there at the time geographically and by season, right? And because we did not have automated systems like grocery stores and fast food places and mechanically engined transportation that you could just take you somewhere in 30 minutes where it would take you 3 days in the past, we typically only ate once a day, if at all. Not because you're starving, but because your body doesn't actually need it. Your body doesn't actually need it. If you look at most ancient traditions, most human beings only ate once a day across cultures. And then there was a special section of your time of your life, etc., where you would abstain from food at all. And that wasn't such a big sacrifice because you're really just giving up one meal a day, right? So then enter fasting, right? But the fasting wasn't there to necessarily make you lose your mind. We have a lot of psychological attachment to food now, and most of it is chemical and hormonal in terms of sugar and preservatives and things like that. Whereas before, it was just kind of like give your digestive system a rest and give yourself an opportunity to focus on something other than just your own sustenance. And so food as a spiritual gateway, as a gateway to your spiritual maturity, is one of the ways in which you can volunteer put yourself in an uncomfortable position for the sake of what wants to come up. In this culture right now, if you notice, a lot of our social connection together depends on ingesting or imbibing something. You're gonna meet a friend for coffee, you're gonna meet them for breakfast, you're gonna meet them for lunch, you're gonna meet them for dinner, you're gonna meet them for hors d'oeuvres and the networking event, you're gonna have, do you know what I mean? And so everywhere we go, there's something to put in your mouth, to eat, to drink, etc. Yeah. And what is present when you're not covering it up with food? That is something worth getting curious about, is what I want to say. It's worth getting curious about. Because here's what I'm going to suggest to you. You don't have to take my stance on it, test it out for yourself. But my stance on it is, if there is something that could possibly hold me back, or that I can weaken my resolve, my will, my character, can take me out of character because I'm so attached, because I'm so used to it. I want to know what it is so that I can unhook myself from it. So that I can retain my power, so that I can retain my freedom, so that I can retain my will. Because if you can get me out of character by something you say or do, or if circumstances can get me out of character because I haven't eaten today, then my character is pretty flaky, right? If all it takes is lack of food, if all it takes is a word, then my character needs some strengthening. And so when you volunteer yourself to eat in a particular way or to not eat at all, you're really volunteering for a character development assignment. Because food is very normal, sex is very normal, drinking something is very normal, human connection is very normal. So to take yourself out of what's normal, what's comfortable, what's familiar, is in itself a spiritual assignment. Yeah. When Tara found out that I am a regular faster, I fast 47 days at the beginning of the year, every year. And the reason why it's now 47 days and not 40 the way that I used to be at the beginning is because now I actually do one meal a day on Sundays and then start the 7-day process all over again. And then that way I count the Sundays out, those 7 weeks. And then that way it's still actually 40 days of fasting, even with the feeding inside. But the reason why that changed, once, because I got older and my body's needs are different. And two, and I wasn't doing it to lose weight. I was doing it for a specific spiritual purpose. So I didn't need the calorie deficit necessarily. And two, because after a while, you guys, I don't know if you've ever fasted for like a long amount of time, but after a while, when you take the dross off of regular routine and words and stuff, I felt like everything that came out of my mouth was scripture. I felt so, yes, eloquent and yes, concise, but more importantly, tuned in. Tuned in, and it's like, man, why do I have to go through 40 days of not eating in order to feel this connected, in order to feel this like on point, in order to feel this concise? I mean, I'll do it. I've been doing it for, decades now. But the opportunity to access a different aspect of your own consciousness, of your own intuition, of your own inner wisdom, of your access to universal consciousness is only available when you take yourself out of certain pieces that make you quote unquote human, so that you can access your divinity. And so that's my invitation to you, to examine, one, are you making food choices from what's going to nurture me, or is this just going to, stop the grumbling in my stomach? Or is this what's available right now? Is this what's easy and comfortable? Is this what's familiar? I'm not telling you to change it. I'm just asking you to observe, where are you choosing from, right? And then the second thing is, use your senses to amplify your spiritual experience. They're there for a reason. You're not supposed to. You haven't been designed with senses so that you can ignore them. You've been designed with senses so that they can help you amplify your experience of being incarnated here on this planet. So feel the texture and the heat and the temperature and how the food goes down and the coolness of the drink that follows and how your body feels when you're eating and where does it land, and so forth. Like feel all of that, because all of that is part of the sensory experience of actually eating, number one. And number two, we get you present. Sometimes we're eating and we're reading a spreadsheet, or we're folding clothes, or we're telling the kids what to do, or we're watching news. Sit down and eat. Okay? It is okay that when someone asks you what you're doing, that you are doing one thing. I am chewing my food. That's all I'm doing right now. Okay. So I would love to hear what are some of your thoughts on this regard in terms of food as a gateway to your spiritual maturity. Rashida.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ogando. Thank you so much, Tara, for starting out the morning with us. Dr. Ogando, every time you touch the topic of spirituality and the journey that each one of us take when we fast, it's just hoping my consciousness and my awareness of being fasting for 33 years. But this year, and I say to people and I confess to people that this year was the biggest challenge for my 40 days fast, because I got really, really sick. I could not remove myself from my bed.
Oh, wow.
But for me, everybody say, "Oh, stop fasting and go and eat some food." I said, "No, this is not about the food.
Yeah,
this
right.
is about the endurance. This is about the awakening. This is about challenging yourself," because I was challenged to know how much I'm going to endure this test. For me, was a huge test. 33 years, and then I get this. This is something that I was like, what is going on? Yeah. I went through a spiritual attack, but the spiritual attack, understanding it will be something to really face it, really know that, knowing that you can really outstand the challenge, because for me it was a big challenge. Is in the middle of my fast, and I said, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. One of my sister called me and said, "You're going to die." I said, I die with pride. But
so it's reminding you. It's what I'm hearing. What you're saying is that what we discussed today is reminding you of that there's something bigger going on than just abstaining from food, and you've lived that as well in your experience.
Thank you. That's what I was saying. So when I finished my fast and overcome all the challenge that was coming to me, I was like, I did it. I was so proud of myself. I was so happy. I was like, yes. I know, and I said to myself, I know you could do it. And my ancestors and spirit were like, that was a big one. That was a big one. But thank you for stepping up and standing up that hard endurance. Thank you so much, Dr. Ogando. Thank you. And I'm ready for next year again.
Awesome. Congratulations. Florence, you have something?
Yes. I used to be part of a spiritual movement in Canada, and I fasted so many times, 3 days, or lots of different times. And food, this is just something that has been in me like all my life. I've never allowed food or anything. Like, I lived in Canada for, I'm a citizen over there, and they drink tea like British, like the British. So when I was working with them in a library, every morning and afternoon, we had this break, and it was a tea break. I've never been accustomed to drinking tea like that. So suddenly I noticed that my body was telling me when it was time to have this tea. It's like it's not time, but my body was beginning to tell me it's time for tea. And I stopped drinking the tea in that kind of way. However, because I am not going to let the tea tell me when it's time to drink it, I need to tell the tea when I'm going to drink it.
Okay.
And this is my philosophy and everything. Like I've never allowed food. I fasted 40 days in between October 1st and whatever date the 40 days ended in England last in 2022 in 2022, and everybody was wondering. Well, I didn't tell them what's my reason for fasting, but that's the first time I did 40 days. And it was one of the most difficult things that I did, and challenging and traumatic and all of this. But I have seen where it has taken me from one level of my existence to a whole new level. And I've come out of fasting totally different from when I have entered. So that for me, I'm a proponent of that. Great.
Awesome. Thank you all for your contribution and for your grace in waiting for me to get online today. I want to leave you with a couple of action items because it seems sometimes the conversations that we have can seem so conceptual, especially in Thursday's spiritual matters. So I want to give you some practical things. One, as I mentioned before, observe as you're taking in food, as you're taking in imbibing drinks, etc. But also as you're ingesting other things, as you're listening to music or watching TV, just notice what you are ingesting. I'm not asking you to change it. I'm asking you to observe it. Yeah. And then notice where it's coming from. Are you doing it because it actually does nourish you, because it is something that agrees with your beingness, or is that something that you're doing out of custom or out of familiarity, etc.? And then the second thing, some of you are already in my subscriber list, and I sent you guys a workbook because some of these questions require a little bit more contemplation. They require a little bit more thinking time. And so we only have half an hour with one another on Thursday, but this is clearly a summer series that could potentially transform your life and transform certain areas of how you have yourself and your relationship to the world. So if you're not on my list, make sure that you put your email on the chat so that I can put you up there. Let me find the link so I can give it to you just in case, so we can have it for the recording. Oh yes, it's Monikah Ogando /daily huddle. MonikahOgando.com/daily huddle. I'm going to put that in the chat for you. Hold on. There it is. Oh, okay. Thank you for dropping your emails. If I don't see you there in a minute, I will put it in, but otherwise that's where you can go sign up directly. MonikahOgando.com/daily-huddle. MonikahOgando.com/daily-huddle. That way you'll get the summer series digital journal as well, so that you can use some of the questions, some of the journal prompts that are there. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I so appreciate your patience, your willingness to play with me, your ability to ask yourself and be in the question, checking your assumptions, of course, auditing your assumptions. Always do that. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Love yourself and others generously. Make sure that you give of your time, of your energy, of your attention. And yes, please. Do get yourself at least 8 hours of sleep. Don't do like I did today. You can only work on 3. And then of course, stress less, exercise more, and love one another. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you. Oh, Stan, your face, your mouth is moving, but I don't hear you.
I said, thank you, Doc.
Oh, there he is.
Okay, Doc. See you later.
Thank you.